today is a very, very special episode. Very, very different. We've got a special guest here.
Michael UZOR.
He goes by the name of Michael UZOR. If you know him, you might know him, you might recognize him. You know what I mean? If you don't, then you get to know him today. We're going to talk about the background. He's not a rapper, by the way. He's not a singer. It doesn't do anything to do with music.
I'm trying to be looking for months.
Something completely different. And that's what we're going to touch on today. So you're going to get to know a little bit. This is a different one, because we're not just going about rappers and the music scene. We want to showcase all the talent in Scotland. And this is a very talented guy. Very, very talented. He's got books. He's got fashion clothing brands. He's got events. He's got all sorts that's coming through. So today we're going to touch on that topic. But yeah, much appreciated for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming. How you been, my bro?
Yeah, I've been good, man. Good. How about yourself? Oh, I've been good. It's been good.
Yeah, my life is good as well. We're just chilling, you know what I mean? Just doing what we can do for the community.
Yeah.
And what other man to talk to about the community than yourself, who's been helping a lot the African community in Scotland. So let's talk about Afro-Scot, because for the people that don't know what Afro-Scot is, can you explain to them?
So Afro-Scot is a brand, a movement that focuses on bolstering the confidence of Africans in Scotland through art, and just saying that you don't need to go the traditional, conventional route to succeed. You know, like doctors, lawyers. You know, most of the people you interviewed possibly are into music.
Yes.
You know, so which is very unconventional. You know, using it in the African community. But what I'm trying to say is that you can take that route and still succeed. So
what made you come with Afro-Scot? What made you come with this idea?
The Afro-Scot idea came from a wedding I attended in 2018.
Oh, really?
And it was a wedding between an African and Scottish person. So it was an African woman, she was Nigerian, and with a Scottish man. It was in Aberdeen. And I just found it fascinating that the first day was a traditional wedding, then the next day they had the white wedding. You know, so they mixed it together, and they had African food on the traditional day, and they had Scottish food on the white wedding day. So I found it very fascinating, you know. And at the time, I had just painted a design with the African logo. It was a red African logo with the Scottish man going to it, and it was on a bomber jacket. So when all that was happening, it just made sense to come up with the name Afro-Scot. Yeah.
I can see from you creating Afro-Scot, it came from a vision that you kind of had by seeing the African and Scottish wedding. So are you trying, your focus is trying to bring the two cultures together?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I want to bring the both cultures together, because we're all about community.
Indeed.
And you know, sometimes it can be about too much about Africans on this side and Scottish people on this side, and then we start fighting against each other. But why don't we come together and understand our cultures, you know, and have a conversation like we're having right now? So that's the whole point of Afro-Scot, you know, and also to allow people to open up about their experiences as an African growing up in Scotland. You know, what goes on in high school, university, just out in parties, and what you did as teenagers. You know, so many people went through so many things that they don't have anybody they can share that with. You know,
exactly. So that you give that platform for people to come and be able to open up about that kind of experiences.
Yeah,
and that's good. And let's touch into that. So where's your background from actually?
So I'm from Nigeria. But I grew up in Scotland, Glasgow mostly. I've been here since I was 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Came as a kid,
I came as a kid, man. Yeah.
So do you feel you relate to more as an African or as a Scottish person?
Well, I've got Nigerian parents, so and whenever we're in the house, we eat African food, you know, so it's like just but when I'm outside, I know I'm in Scotland. You know, so
as soon as you step out.
Yeah.
So how was it growing up in Scotland, especially because you came in when you were 6? So majority of your adulthood and teenage phase was here. So you kind of grew up with the Scottish culture. And how was it to adapt? As you said, home is a different country basically. You know what I mean? It's like you're back in Nigeria, but as soon as you step out, you are in Scotland, and you kind of have to go by the rules of Scottish culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how was it adapting to that?
It wasn't very easy because it's so different. For example, in Nigerian culture, you can't look at an older person in the eye. You know, it's considered rude. However, here, if you don't look at the older person in the eye, they say you're lying or you're shy. You know what I mean? So there's so many things, or calling your friend's mum or dad uncle and auntie.
Yeah, I get one of them ones. Yeah,
you know,
people are like, oh, everyone is your auntie, your cousin. You're like, bro, just respect. You know what I mean?
Trust. You know. That respect is not there as it used to be back then. You know, you just talk to people anyhow here. You know, especially where I grew up. I grew up in Castlemook.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the scheme you come from.
Yeah.
Jeez, as you know, the slogan here is cruising through the scheme. So As people being growing up in Scotland, of course, they know what scheme is and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So tell me, what your experience living in Castlemilk? How was it like? Was it, because I know Castlemilk tends to be a tough area.
Oh yeah, it was a tough area, man. Like when I left the house. My mum would be waiting outside with the hope that I got home safe. That's how dangerous it was. Yeah, it was dangerous, man. However, I think it taught us about the Scottish culture. You know, it allowed us to relate to people in this country, and not only that, the slang as well. There's so many words in slang that they say that it's almost like a different language. Yeah, you know, and I know all of it. When they're speaking, I know what they're saying.
You can understand that.
So it really helped me in that area.
So what kind of opportunities have you offered so far? What is your achievements that you are proud of as the founder of AfroScot?
The achievement is, I like the fact, for example, we had a case recently with Gary or Modern Art, how they took our trademark. And what I liked was that the name AfroScot is starting to become popular. You know, people higher up are starting to take notice of it. You know, that's what I like. Also, I really like how AfroScot is almost gave people a platform to be able to express their ideas. You know, because for example, we've started doing books, and what if there's a young person who always wanted to write a book, but they thought, maybe he's not cool enough to write a book, you know, but they've seen somebody write a book, or maybe fashion, or maybe painting, because we do gallery shows as well. So I just like the fact that we're doing things,
you're opening up doors.
Opening up doors and doing unconventional things that are also encouraging others to take that step as well.
Do you feel like our culture as an African people, that we tend to just all go for the straightforward, let's say football, sports, rapping, or eventually the bad way, which is, you know, drugs and all that kind of stuff? Do you think is like, are we programmed in a way that that's all we think about? Because you went and ventured in a different area that, man, it's not like you said, it's unconventional for us. We don't know many black writers that have books, not many people that are supporting the community the way you're supporting the community here, painters and stuff like that. We don't have many stuff like that. So what made click? Or did you also were influenced in the same way I was to become a rapper or do sports or anything like that?
I think what kind of changed my mind to take that route was the fact that I was really into Japanese comics and anime and as a young person, and I used to always look up to those type of things, you know, and I wasn't really looking at my environment. That thing gave me an escape. So when I started doing my books and things, I just was never really inspired by all that sports. Not only that, I wasn't good at sports. So I
had no choice.
I had no choice. I had to pick what I was good at. And drawing was the only thing I was really good at.
What would you say that your name is that suits you? Because I know you do a lot of things. You kind of into a lot of avenues. But what would you say you consider yourself as?
Visual arts.
Visual arts.
Yeah, I'm a visual artist.
Kind of sector that you're into.
Yeah, visual artist.
So from what I've seen, you've done a lot for the community. You've done galleries and stuff like that, but I want to touch into your artistic side. So how is it being an artist? Like, what got you into the designs and the fashion and, like, you know what I mean, how did you get into the position that you are now? Like, for someone that wants to get started, what advice could you give them? Or this is the step you have to take, or, you know what I mean?
I believe you should, first of all, just go for it and don't think too hard about it. And also get to know who you are as a person, because once you know who you are, it'd be easier to express yourself in your work. When I started, I had a firm sense of self. When I started, I knew what I liked. I liked art, I liked clothes, so I tried to incorporate that into my work.
Into your work.
So just look for what are the traits that make you as a person, and try and show that for your art. And that's not easy, because you have to be vulnerable, authentic.
That's true.
It's not easy.
So I'm guessing, like I said, you've been very confident in yourself. So when you're going through school, were you different from other people? Did you get like, you know what I mean? Did people notice that you were a bit different, or you were like doing things differently?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was very very different. I remember I remember in class, like everybody be reading just normal books, you know, the normal road dial. I'll be reading manga books and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I just stood out at a young age. Yeah.
So the Japanese culture is really affected you in that way. That like you really liked it. Have you been to Japan before?
No, I want to go.
You want to go? I was gonna say as well, I was gonna touch into the fashion now. So at what point did the art turn into, what came first, the art or the fashion were you into?
Art first, I was
art
into.
first.
Yeah.
So how did you transition your art and your ideas into fashion?
Well, I liked how fashion incorporates everything. You know, illustration, film, photography, you know, theater, incorporates everything. And when I was studying fashion, for 4 years, I liked how I grew in all those different mediums, you know, in my painting, in my photography work. And because of that, it allowed me to understand, okay, a really wide view of art. Even music as well is in fashion, you know, with the campaigns and things. Exactly. So, like, that's what I like about fashion. That's what got me into it. I feel like painting just restricted me to just painting.
Painting,
didn't allow me to
you can't go too much. You can't go too wear. So now you're now in a different avenue where you can do fashion, art, and you utilize all the skills that you have and become the full potential. So what do you see yourself? What's the different avenues that you continue to open up the doors to, and what do you see yourself doing? Like, is it going to continue being art? Is it going to continue being fashion? Or is it going to be a cooperation of all those two together?
My goal is to be able to teach people or teach students, because I want to start a school.
Oh, so you want to teach?
I want to start. Yeah. Just part of it though. Just part of it. What I want to be able to see how people can turn a story or write a story and then translate it into art. You know, so you write a story and then you might create a fashion design about it, or a painting about it. Just any way you can express that story, you know, not just through the written word. You know, so that's kind of my goal with it. And also my goals as well is that in 10 years time, when people want to relate or talk about Africans in Scotland, they use the term Afro Scot. It becomes a household name. So that's kind of my goal. Yeah.
I know you recently had an event where it included art, fashion, music, and stuff like that, and it was, I believe it was it the UZOR brand or the Afro Scot brand that you used?
Afro Scot is the movement, UZOR is the clothing brand.
Oh, the clothing brand. Okay, so all of that's going to be in the description below. But let's go into the UZOR then. Let's talk about the fashion a little bit more. So when did that start? When did that originate? So
that started June 2017. I wanted to just find a way I could express myself through clothes. You know, so I started painting on my clothes. And I remember I was at a concert. I think it was Ray Shremmerd, and I threw my jacket on the stage. Ray Shremmerd picked it up, wore it, and then one of my friends was like, "Yo, I would like a jacket like that." You know, and then
I know, just a question. I know not to give you, not to take that away the shine on you, but you think they only said that because Ray Shremmerd wore it, or was it beforehand where they not saying nothing like that?
Before Ray Shremmerd wore it, he already said he wanted to wear it.
That's good. So
we were at the concert line when he said it, you know. So after that, and he's a really good friend of mine, you know. He's the one that kickstarted it all, you know, because he bought it, another person bought, then another person bought.
So he he was the initiator to then. That's really good.
Yeah, he believed in me before I really got anybody, you know. You know, it's really good, you know.
But as you were saying, after the Ray Shremmerd, that's when you started.
Playboy Carti as well. Remember, he wore it as well.
Really?
At concert, I was literally showing him the jacket. He picked it up. You know,
Yeah.
That's